Hey, it's Rob,
And Allie,
and this is Camp
H54.
Hey. Hi, everybody. How you doing? We're just hanging out, working our way through life here
Parenting.
and venturing forward, that kind of fun stuff. So it was funny. Just had a conversation about, we're up in the mountains, so it gets quite freezing every night. Well, we don't know. So we're planning on when the RV gets from its storage location down in the valley up here, and hopefully here in about a few weeks.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I think that we should wait for until after Mother's Day, just because it snows on Mother's Day a lot, or it gets really cold. But you did talk about we could just turn everything on because it would be like one night or
She's
whatever.
shaking the whole table. We're
Sorry.
not having an earthquake.
I will-
It's
no,
okay.
I will get over here.
Speaking of earthquakes, there was an earthquake in Taylor, Arizona,
Yeah, and I felt it.
and you felt it.
And I was like, I was sitting in bed doing work. I was working because I was working remote, and I was like, holy crap, the house shook. And we just experienced an earthquake in LA, and that was Rob's first earthquake he experienced in LA, not mine. But here I was like, that was just a big ass dust devil because it was windy as heck.
It was windy.
Yeah.
Smacked
So
the mirror.
I know. So anyway, yeah. And then we talked, and you're like, there was an earthquake there. And I was like, yeah, I felt it then. It wasn't a dust devil. It was an earthquake.
It was an earthquake.
In Arizona. So welcome, Arizona, to our earthquake
experiences.
Yes.
Yay.
But
fun. So title is
Technology.
Kids and Technology.
We have 3.
We got 3 kids. So, and it's funny because, we've been told. So I grew up completely without technology.
Black and white TV.
Technology was, black and white to color. And then I had 3 channels. And then cable got introduced. We didn't get it as a family. It was a corded phone on the wall. VCR didn't come into my existence literally until I really started working. We had typewriters. We had electric typewriters. We had a typewriter. When I went to college, there was a room you could go to filled with typewriters, so everybody could do their typing for their reports and
that's crazy
stuff.
So I took typewriting in junior high. So they gave us a bunch of typewriters, and we learned how to type because that's where we were going. I went from tapes to CDs. You guys had 8 tracks? Is that what they're called?
We had records.
Okay.
And 45s.
Okay.
8-track briefly.
I know what a record is. Yeah.
Cassette. So I did cassette.
Yeah, I started with cassette.
Yeah.
And then went into CD.
And then after college was CD. Yeah.
Okay. So. And then we had a family computer when I was younger, and we played games on it. And then we went to, I remember 13, at
13 or 14, may have been 16, I got Pong, which is this little game there was a single controller, 2 knobs. One person did one knob, and it went boop, boop. It was like tennis, but
Well, we had Black Cauldron was one of the games, and this marble game. So anyway, we had those, and then we had the 3-way calling. You had different, like we had a party line, I think.
I started with a party line.
Okay, your party.
Where the 3 other homes on the same line, and then it went to our own. Oh, we thought, ooh, wow, yeah, big school time here. Now we got our own private line.
Yeah, we had our own private line. Then we had one where you click the second line to get over, and then we also had one where we had 2 phone numbers. There
was no 911. 911 didn't exist. You had to remember the police number, the fire number, and the ambulance number. There was no dispatch. So you had to call the police station, the fire station, and the ambulance, depending upon what you needed.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Right.
When did 911 come about? I'm curious.
Somewhere when I was in college, I remember 911 coming about.
Well, for that. So things.
So the approach to technology and kids is new for everyone. Is new, not me, because Gen X, the beginning of Gen X, at the end of Gen X, almost Gen, was it Y? Is it the next one? Yeah, or what? Or millennial or whatever.
Know. I'm not a millennial.
There's differences, obviously, 13-year span there, but I'm totally embedded in latchkey, and we went home, we opened our own door, we went inside, we made ourselves a snack. Nobody was home. We fought like sisters and brothers. Yeah.
Nobody there was there to break it up.
Drag out fights, man. We broke an AT&T phone once, And let me tell you, those things weren't cheap because AT&T owned all the phones and owned all the phone lines. So you didn't own a phone. That was leased to you through the AT&T your deal with your phone bill. So that's another funny thing is I remember when you could finally buy your own phone, which you couldn't do when I first started growing up. Anyways, so there's all kinds of philosophies about what you should do with kids. One philosophy is you don't give them anything at all. And you shut them down from technology because that'll make them safe. Well, my approach with that is that won't make them safe forever. Might say make them safe in the time being when you have them, but if you aren't around to help them get through some of the situations, like mom would come home eventually, and maybe it was bloody, maybe it wasn't, maybe sister was, maybe she wasn't, maybe she broke her arm because she decided to do something I did and it was my fault, but it eventually come home and save us. Okay, so we didn't do anything, it killed each other, and we rode around on bicycles without helmets too, which is another weird thing for me. But anyways, so I like allowing my kids to have enough rope to almost hang themselves, but not enough to actually do it. Make sense?
Yeah, I think that when you're a helicopter parent, you're doing a disservice to your child because that's the whole point of these children that you have. It's your responsibility to kind of help them while they're underneath your roof, but also build them up for independence so that when they do leave, they're not naive to the world and they have some skills that they can grow on, add to and grow from. And
Yeah.
so Audrey, our oldest, was our first with the technology thing because when Rob came into our lives, he changed my life by showing an iPad to her. And I was like, wait a minute, I can have dinner and she's not bothering me or she's not.
She had a computer with a DVD drive that kind of worked, and then we get bounced around and do things. It was like, no, here, let's just do this. And then it was like, oh.
I remember being in a restaurant, and it was the first time being in a restaurant to where I didn't feel like we were going to get kicked out or we needed to leave, because it just, a lot of the times you see like, and I guess kudos to those moms or whatever, because there's some people like that won't let their kids do technology at all. They're like, it's horrible. This is the world that we're going into. This is the world that there's no way to get out of technology.
And let me back this up a little bit. To take a 4-year-old to a restaurant is not something, well, you got to teach your kids how to behave better in public. Okay, cool. Awesome. I didn't go to restaurants until I was around, 10 or 12, because you didn't go to restaurants. And once again, you stayed at home. Parents went out. Parents didn't go out as restaurants. We ate, a restaurant was like once a month, if maybe once a quarter in our family. It was not weekly. It was not, it didn't exist. Okay. So trying to say, they need to, kids aren't ready to learn that kind of skill set that early on. So having a tablet with a kid, and then they're like, well, then, figure out somebody, you can't have somebody watching them at home all the time.
It's expensive.
Both parents have to work, which they didn't in the past. Both my parents did work growing up. So that's why we were alone. It's so throw away these, actually totalitarian way. You just got to teach them how to do things. You have to manage it. Okay. Yeah. Can they be on it all the time? No, absolutely not.
No.
You got a timer set for activities.
Well, it's not a parenting device, it's something to get them used to.
And that's the key. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the problem. We're starting to see in kids going from preschool that maybe never went to preschool at our home, or we're starting to see kids going to kindergarten that don't know anything other than TV shows. And that's unfortunate. They don't know their circles. They don't know their numbers. They don't 1 to 10. 5 years old, don't know shapes, colors. That's one of the things that I'm working on outside of this. And it's because that's used as a babysitter. And we use one thing that we do, and I started was with Audrey, is we did baby signing time. Baby signing time was a video, and people were like, I can't believe you're doing that. I would put my kid in the little bouncer in front of the TV and I'd go take a shower, and it was 20 minutes. I got time to take a shower.
Yep.
They were signing at 6 months old. 0 to 5 is a very important time of a child's life to be able to, you can mold their brain. You can give them the opportunity to thrive by focusing on getting their brain going, thinking, talking to them, getting involved in things, having them figure out things. That is the best time in the world to do that. And so after a while, people would see these our kids walking around and being like, more, milk,
They
juice.
could communicate.
Yeah, absolutely.
and they were able to communicate, and they were communicating effectively.
Yes.
Asking for things, doing things. They got yes, they got no, they got no in sign language before they got no in person.
Yeah, and it made a difference because children, little ones, 0 to 5, or they get frustrated when they can't speak to you or you don't
Right.
understand what they're saying. Anybody would. I'd get frustrated. I mean, we've been frustrated with each other because we just didn't understand the words that coming out of our mouths, or we were emotionally involved in
I
something.
mean,
and
even when
it's
you know the
just-
words, trying to
Yeah.
communicate's hard, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So that was a very valuable, and so that was a positive part of that, that CD, and being able to connect with the kids and have them grow. But you don't use technology as a babysitting tool ever. You try to use it as something to, like, maybe what is it, like, not a, how do I say it? Not winning it, but like if they do something good, we give Henry more time
Yeah.
with his video games.
So now, phone. Okay. So get a phone. Want to use a phone. The first set of rules was if we're paying the bill, the phone is for our convenience, not yours. So that, first of all, they all have the ability to track what apps are used, be able to limit what apps are used, screen time. That's all a thing that you can actually manage in the back end to what's going on. You can also track the phone. We've used Life 360, but honestly, Life 360
Burns
to me
through
is a little
your-
annoying.
Well, and
It
it
burns through your battery.
Yeah.
I just use the tracking with Apple to find
Yeah.
my things, and it
Mhm.
works perfectly fine. You can do 5 people on a family plan with Apple, which is what we do. Okay. But they got to have the understanding that this is our, first daughter bought her own first phone. Okay.
We
She
wouldn't give it
did.
to her.
We didn't give it
Was
to her.
she,
She
like,
bought her first
12,
phone, so let her
13?
do that. But I was still like, look, you can still lose that, and I will take it from you, so you can't use it. It's yours. But once you start managing all of your money and you pay for all that, then it's your convenience. Okay, so that's the first understanding of that is that set of rules, and then it's the fact that privacy is earned. It's not guaranteed off the beginning.
Well, and we didn't start with her with the phone. We started with the gizmo. Remember that?
Yes.
So you want to be able to communicate with your kid, especially if they're riding their bikes. There was a couple times with our little ones where we couldn't find them in the neighborhood, and they went to a friend's house and moved the bikes in the garage and shut the garage, and we were freaking out because we couldn't see their bikes. And so the gizmo was able to track, and that's a watch. For some
And that's a
people that don't know
Verizon
this.
plan deal, but they have other watches that
Yeah, that has just certain amount of numbers on it that we can communicate back and forth, and that was great. We did it with our oldest and our middle child.
Yes.
And then
And now we've transitioned from that, because we're not on Verizon anymore,
Yes.
into either an iPod Touch or the iPad that you can have communication with FaceTime. You can have communication with
yeah, well, because we don't have a landline.
Yeah.
So we needed that.
Yep.
So we were figuring out how to teach them that, so that, if something happens at home or if they need something. Now, granted, we get texts and FaceTimed and information all the time. It's a little overload, cute little pictures of kitties.
Yep,
and
yep.
things
What's
all the
going on?
time.
What's going on? When are you guys home? When are you
Yeah.
guys coming home?
Yeah.
When are you guys coming home?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm being parented at some point in time, but
Yeah, that's our middle.
But
She
that's
does- she
good.
does that.
honestly, communication is good.
It's
So
key. It's
It's
important.
really good.
So, so our little ones, the 7 and 10-year-old, don't have their own cell phone at all. I understand that some parents, when there's no other communication, that they do that, but it has to come with understanding that it is a tool, and it's something that you have to make sure you don't put yourself in harm's way with, or there's a lot of understanding.
So now I want
that.
to talk about social media. Okay.
Yes.
So kids are on games, and the first thing we teach them is if they're not their friend in person, they're not your friend online. And we check in with them on that. We make sure they're not doing that, and we explain to them why. I can show them kidnapping cases. I can show them exactly what the pattern of behavior is. Everything. They're kids. They're going to test the bubble, and they're going to fail at some point in time. Okay. So you have to understand that the tactic that's used is to make them embarrassed so they won't come to you. So you have to remove any possible embarrassment, and you've got to spell it out for them. Okay. I know of a case that was here locally where kid was they were trying to take pictures or get pictures, and they used the pictures, and they were like threatening to use the pictures, and, well, we're going to show it, and it's going to embarrass you. And it's like, nope. no, can't embarrass me if I know my parents are going to be okay. So at some point, you gotta have these conversations, get in depth with it. Now it's funny because I even run into police officials who are like, well, you just need to take all their apps off their phone. I'm like, so they're gonna learn what at like 21, 25? Because you think people don't get abducted at that age?
No, you have to do it when they're younger. It's just like the same reason they go into schools and teach kids that drugs are bad. You want to get to them when they're younger so that they can grow up into it. They can ask the questions, they can try. Underneath your roof, this is an opportunity for the children to try things and be still safe as long as that communication is there. We don't just give them their phone or their iPads or anything without knowing what's on there, what's going to be seen. We allow certain things. They're friends with family on there. We just had our daughter today going, look, showing us, this is Lily, this is this person, this is this person, this is who's on this account.
Yep.
We're like, okay. And she goes, these people are all the
And
ones
these
that friended
people, I
me.
just go block, block, block,
Yeah.
block, 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 and
Yes.
she's blocking them that are friend
Yeah.
requesting her. She's not
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 messing
just
with
saying no, she's blocking them. So
I'm very proud of
Yes.
her. And but that's what we have to do because you got to create an environment where if you're not there, you know your kid's going to make the right choice. Or if your kid makes the wrong choice, you know that your kid's going to realize that before things get too bad, they're going to come to you. They might take the wrong choice and then see, oh my gosh, what mom and dad said is happening, and then circumvent that and come to you.
the best thing you can do is be there and not judge them for making a mistake.
Yeah, we're all here.
We've
made
all
mistakes
made,
ready.
believe me, I made some
Mhm.
mistakes. It's funny. I went back to where I grew up and I was looking at a railroad trestle I used to ride across on a motorcycle, a little dirt bike. And there's no sides on it. It's a train trestle with open underneath, and it's just the railroad ties and the rails. And I'm like, what the heck was I thinking?
Yeah, I know you get older. There's a lot of what the heck it was. I think
Like,
when you get
oh
older.
my God.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of that. You get more. You take less
Like,
risk the
I
older you
would
get.
kill my kid for doing this.
Oh, I'd be terrified.
But because I was taught that you stay on the throttle, and if something wiggles, you just keep going. And I learned on dirt bike, I never had an issue in it.
Mhm.
So yeah,
No. Yeah.
and had independence.
Yeah.
So I think the independence is important. There's everything. You have to allow your kids to witness some risk and have some risk, and provide not a safety harness. Sometimes I look at these things and Mike Rowe is the best guy for this. Safety first is the best way to get yourself in danger. Okay, safety third. Okay, you got to be able to go out. You got to be able to do things. You got to allow your kids some leeway to make some mistakes, and then just be there to help. Fix some scrapes,
Mhm.
fix some things. You cannot eliminate all tragedies. Tragedies are going to happen out of the middle of nowhere, and they're unavoidable. And I'd rather my kid be resilient and able to think on their feet and not panic than protect them completely until they're out of my house.
Yeah. Technology is an everyday discussion. It's an every day you talk about it.
So let's talk about ChatGPT. Here's the best, newest example of people pushing back. We was talking to the high school, and they're like, "Oh, we're not allowed ChatGPT," and I'm like, "Well, that's dumb." And they're like, "What? That's stupid. Why would you limit? You've got the perfect opportunity to teach the ethical way to use a new tool. You think you're going to get rid of this tool? You
No.
think it's going to go away?
I'll pick
No. So you've got this opportunity now in 4 years of high school to teach kids how to ethically use ChatGPT, or just get run over by it later. So how about the problem is the people that are experiencing this didn't have my experience. They're younger than me, way younger than me, that are the principals and the vice principals and the teachers. So it's like, no, now is the time to, and that's, they're like, oh, you can't use ChatGPT in college. And I'm like, well, people are going to be using ChatGPT. And at some point, they're going to start teaching you how to do it. But it's going to be too late for the kids that started when it started.
I've been working on some stuff, and even then they're like, look, if you're using ChatGPT, please make sure you read. And that's the rule of ChatGPT. Some people just do ChatGPT, copy, paste, and send.
Yeah.
That is not how you do
Lazy
ChatGPT.
work is going to be lazy work,
It's
folks.
obvious.
Yeah.
It's obvious that you did not I mean, that's lazy work, and it is very obvious. So
Yeah.
in ChatGPT, I have to go through and I have to read everything, and I have to change some things around, and some things I don't like, and some things I keep that I have in there. But really, ChatGPT just allows us to
You also
put
have
together
to train your ChatGPT to
Yes.
speak for you. So there's a way
your
to do
voice.
that.
Done
Yeah, that this is the thing. So no, it's not shut it down. Nobody's allowed to use it. It's here's how you use it.
appropriately.
You know, I'm of the group that said, hey, when you grow up, you know, you better learn how to do this because when you grow up, there's not going to be a calculator with you everywhere you go. Guess what, third grade teacher? Here it is with me everywhere I go. It's on my computer. It's everywhere. Heck, I don't even have to have the device. I could just ask Alexa to do the math for me, and she tells me.
That's true. That's true. Things are just getting a little bit more simplified, and there's a lot more automated stuff with technology coming the way, and you do need to know how to use it appropriately. There's concern that maybe it's not everybody knows math. You don't need to know math as well unless you go into like some kind of engineering. But
You need to understand the basics of things. That's what they should be teaching in school and how to learn. This, we're headed in a direction, and I think hopefully could help to start fix that. But honestly, that's job one right here. Help my kids understand the world and understand hardship. It's easy to understand success. Really easy to understand success. You know what's hard to understand? Failure. So that's what I get. Nope, failed. It's like, oh, won't you? Oh, that's not going to work. Let them not work.
Yeah, let them fail.
I realized after teaching my youngest, who's now my oldest, how to drive, was like, dang it, and went and bought a go-kart like 2 weeks later. I'm like, we're buying a go-kart. She said, well, I remember, because these kids are going to know how to turn before I put them in a big automobile.
Yeah, I turned when I learned. I turned right into a ditch, so I did not know how to turn when the first time I drove.
So they get them in a go-kart going around the curves, and then it's a lot easier when you put them in a big automobile to understand what you got to do for a turn, what you got to do to turn around. All those kind of things will be easier. So let them fail small, and then have successes that are big. It's
important at an early age to start getting your kids on the path of understanding that failure is a way to progress. You're not going to win at everything. It makes you better. Failures are actually not a bad thing. I mean, you hear about it a lot. That you've learned, like what the Edison with the light bulb. He learned like
64,000 tries before he even got one to work. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I
Something
learned
like
this.
that.
No, it's like, I think it's like 99. I don't know, 200 times maybe. He said, I learned this many times how not to do it. So it wasn't a failure.
Yeah.
And that's, maybe there needs to be a different word other than failure.
No, you should be okay with the word failure. Actually, I failed at that. Okay, let's do it differently the next time so I don't fail at it. Well, it's okay to fail.
I'm just saying it needs to be more of a positive. People need to understand it's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing. If you give up, it could be a negative thing. You don't want to give up. It could be a positive thing. That's all I'm saying.
Fail means first attempt in learning.
Thank you. That's positive. That's awesome. I love it.
There you go.
Yeah. So we're interested if anybody else has any, like, how they maybe parent their children through technology, any, advice.
Yep.
We're very open to it. This is something we learn from each other. We're not, the best parents in the world, but we're engaged parents. We're learning as we go. We've never had a 17-year-old before. We've never had a boy before. We've never had a middle child before. Like, all of this is new to us.
I'm really good at 57. I've been 57 for almost a whole entire year. So I've got 57 down. But you know what's going to happen next year? Or actually, about a couple weeks.
A couple weeks.
Boom. New age.
Yeah.
Brand new trying at it. So there we go.
You're great at every age.
So anything else you want to tell anybody?
Hey.
Cool.
No.
So I'm Rob.
I'm Allie.
This is Camp H54. Go out there and venture forward.